Welcome to Revelation BIB 406, Lecture 8. Today we are going to focus on the 10th chapter of the book of Revelation. But before we jump into that, I want to do a quick review of chapters 8 and 9. Alright, so in chapters 8 and 9, we saw that the seventh seal was open, and that seventh seal revealed to us that there would be 7 trumpet blasts that would be sounded by 7 different angels. So we had the first 6 seals opened, and then when you get to the 7th seal, it reveals more detail surrounding the opening of that 7th seal. Trumpets 1 through 4 are sounded in chapter 8. So in chapter 8 we read about each of these trumpets being sounded and the judgments that accompanied each of those trumpet blasts. In chapters 9, the 5th and 6th trumpets are sounded. So that leads us to the 7th and final trumpet, which is going to be sounded here in the upcoming chapters. Chapter 9, we said it could be best described as hell on earth. The events that are given, as pictures there in that chapter depict a very graphic scene of judgment, and definitely not a place that you want to be a part of. Let's dig into chapter 10 and look at some of the verses here. Chapter 10 is often referred to as an interlude or a pause. And that pause is between the sounding of the 6th and the 7th trumpet blast. So we're not actually going to get to the 7th trumpet blast yet. This is parenthetical information. It's a pause between the sounding of the 6th and 7th trumpet. So let's begin to read through the verses here and take a look at what we can find. Chapter 10, verse 1, it opens with another mighty angel who's come down from heaven. He's clothed with a cloud. A rainbow is on his head. His face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. Verse 2 talks about this book that he has in his hand that is open. All right, so we've got to ask the question, who is the angel, first of all? Some have speculated that this is God himself. We're going to look at maybe why that wouldn't be the case here in a moment. And the scroll is mentioned again, but this time it is opened up. So now all the 7 seals that were holding it together, those are now loosed, and now the scroll is opened up in verse 2. He has 1 foot on the sea and 1 foot on the earth, and he cries with a loud voice in verse 3. It sounds like a lion when a lion roars, and when he cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. But John is not allowed to document or write down what the 7 thunders utter. In verse 4, he's told to write them not. And the angel that he saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven and swear by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that are, and the earth and the things that are therein, the sea, the things that are therein, that there should be time no longer. Okay, so the big question is this: can this be God if he swears by God? It says that he's swearing by the one that lives forever and ever, who created heaven. Obviously, that's God. So this angel, it seems pretty certain this is not God, but it just is another angel that is being described here. All right, so in verse 8, it says, the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again, said, go take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel. And he goes, he takes the book, and then he's told to eat it. It will make his belly bitter, but it shall be sweet in his mouth like honey. So he takes the book out of the angel's hand, he eats it, and as soon as he eats it, it happens just as it is described. It says it was sweet in his mouth like honey, but as soon as he ate it, his belly was bitter. And then he's told to go and prophesy again before many peoples, nations, and tongues and kings, to basically proclaim the things that he is being allowed to see here in this chapter. All right, so in verse 6, this is definitely the end, at least the seventh seal is opened up, so this is the beginning of the end. He says that there should be time no longer. So this is the end of these events. And the rest of the book of Revelation is going to be describing what will happen here at the end. Verse 7 mentions the final trumpet. It says, in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. So we've already heard 6 of the 7 trumpets. The 7th trumpet is the last one, and it's mentioned here, and it says that when that 7th trumpet sounds, the mystery of God should be finished. Some have said that this is the end of the church age because the church is described as being a mystery. But however you understand this, it's talking about the event of the 7th trumpet. When that 7th angel sounds it, then the mystery of God will be finished, and this will be the end. All right, and then he's told to eat the scroll and to prophesy to the nations in verses 8 through 11.